Brought to you by Allstate, whose policies now include protection for your home, your family, as well as your car. You're in good hands with Allstate. Now, let's all play What's My Line? And now, let's meet our What's My Line panel. First, the popular columnist whose voice of Broadway appears in papers coast to coast, Miss Dorothy Kilgallen.
A very funny fellow has taken time out from filming his new television series to be with us tonight. And here he is now. We've got him, Joey Bishop.
Thank you, Dorothy. And to my left, a young lady who is currently breaking records in a show entitled Old Acquaintance at the paper mill in New Jersey, Miss Arlene Francis. Is it paper mill?
Thank you, Joe. And now a gentleman who used to be known as the distinguished and honorable president of Random House, but is fast becoming known as the father of Christopher and John Cerf, Mr. Bennett, Cerf.
At a summer class up at the Pulitzer School of Journalism the other day, the professor asked his class to please name the daily that used 8-syllable words most indiscriminately. And with one voice, the class said, John Charles Daly. There we are.
Good evening, and welcome to What's My Line. Joey Bishop, it's nice to have you with us again, as always, sir.
Thank you, John. It's nice being back.
We have some very interesting occupations and some nice folks who brought them to the theater. I think the panel is going to have an interesting half hour. We will also have a famous mystery guest before my friends on the panel a little bit later in the program, and we'll meet our first challenger. And now to meet our first contestant. Will you enter and sign in, please? Beulah Gellert. Is that right? Is it Miss or Mrs. Gellert? Mrs. Gellert, where are you from?
Dollsville, New York.
Dollsville, New York.
Yes.
Nice to have you with us. May I present the panel? Mrs. Gellert. Will you join me over here now, please? Do you know how we keep score, Mrs. Gellert?
Yes.
Fine, then we'll let the audience in the theater and the audience at home know exactly what your line is. All right. Panel, Mrs. Gellert is self-employed and deals in a product. And we'll begin the general questioning with Bennett, sir.
Mrs. Gellert, would you help me out a little and tell me just what part of New York Dollsville is in?
Well, upper New York, I would say.
Up around Rochester, Syracuse?
It's between Syracuse and Albany.
Mm-hmm.
Now you know what she does, don't you?
Well, Dollsville, can I presume that this has nothing to do with dolls, your product?
That's right.
Is the product that you're concerned with something that is used in the home, Mrs. Gellert?
No.
That's 1 down and 9 to go, Miss Kilgallen.
Is it used out of doors?
Yes.
Can it be used by either sex?
Yes.
Would you say that more men use it than women?
Yes.
Is it something that I would likely have seen but not used?
I would say so. Yes.
Is it bigger than a bread box?
Beg your pardon?
Is it bigger than a bread box?
No, I would say it's one of those things it might be difficult to introduce into a bread box, Dorothy, but in total volume, I would say the bread box is bigger. So that's 2 down and 8 to go, Mr. Bishop.
Is this a product that you yourself grow?
No.
That's 3 down and 7 to go, Miss Fred.
Is it something that has anything sportive or entertaining about it?
Yes.
Is it something that you can hold in your hand?
Yes.
Is it something that might be used near water? On a beach or...
Well, it could be, yes, it could be.
Is it round in construction rather than square?
Well, to the degree that squares have corners, I think we would agree this tends to be more round than square.
Is it, does it come in different sizes?
Yes.
Could it be used in a game then?
Yes.
Is it anything in the rubber family?
No, that's 4 down and 6 to go, Mr. Cerf.
Mrs. Gellert, is the game in which this product is used an organized game that is sometimes played professionally?
Sometimes.
Is it the game itself played out of doors?
Yes.
Is it played by teams rather than by individuals?
Yes.
Is it some kind of, is a ball used in the playing of this game?
Yes.
Would it be baseball?
The game?
The game?
Yes.
And you make some kind of equipment that is used by baseball players, but you work for yourself.
Oh.
Is that right?
Well, yes. Mrs. Gellert is self-employed, which merely indicates that Mrs. Gellert is management rather than an employee of management.
Would this product be used more by the offense than the defense?
No.
Well, I think we'll have to have a smoke.
In baseball?
In teams, they're both going to be offense and defense.
Sure, in a baseball team.
Use both?
Yeah, actually, well, you're right. You've got a very good point. Bennett, are you speaking now in overall use? Is that what you have in mind?
Well, I would say in overall use, would it be more likely or used more often by the offensive side, such as a bat?
Well, I don't like to refer to any side as offensive, Bennett. You know I...
Well, by the offense, of course, I mean the team that is at bat and is trying to make runs as opposed to the team that is in the field trying to prevent the making of runs.
Yes, in that context, you would get a yes.
Well, then, is there something to do with bats?
Yes.
Well, do you make baseball bats?
Yes! Well, Mrs. Gellert said she didn't want you to guess it. I must congratulate you because we thought we'd fool you with that. Mrs. Gellert is not only has something to do with the product, she is the head of a company. It's the Adirondack Bats.
Yes.
Adirondack Bats and makes bats for everybody who plays baseball. Their bats are used in the
Mrs.
big
Gellert,
leagues.
why are so many bats breaking this year? Are they thinner than they used to be?
That's very good, but I
What?
really don't know.
Very good for
Don't know.
business.
It's very good for business.
About
That's
every
right.
third player who gets up seems to break his bat these days.
Well, now, when
I wasn't aware of that.
When I was in school, because I suppose this has nothing to do with it, but I remember you were supposed to hold the insignia up. And then if you hit the ball squarely, which I always did, why, the bat didn't break.
What a memory you have.
Haven't I got a wonderful memory? Well, Mrs. Gellert, thank you. We had a lot of fun. We hope you enjoyed your visit to What's My Line. It's nice to have you.
Shake hands with them.
Oh, yes. Now to meet our second contestant, will you enter and sign in, please? Caroline Schreiner, right? Is it Miss or Mrs. Schreiner?
Miss
Miss Schreiner. Where are you from?
Hutchinson, Kansas.
Hutchinson, Kansas. Nice to have with you. You've got some friends in the house, so you can relax.
So?
Miss Schreiner, may I present the panel? Now, would you join me here? Do you know how we keep score?
Yes, I do.
Fine, then we'll let the audience in the theater and the audience at home know exactly what your line is. All right, panel. Miss Schreiner is salaried and deals in a service, and let's begin the general questioning with Mr. Bishop.
Well, when you walked out, the audience acknowledged you in their own peculiar way. Are you a whistle getter?
Beyond doubt.
You are salaried and you deal in a service.
Yes.
Could we all avail ourselves of your particular service?
Yes.
Let me say here that you could be one of those who would benefit from the service. It doesn't necessarily mean that you would be, specifically and directly involved in requesting it, but you could benefit from the service.
John, I am only speaking to Carolyn to perhaps further a social contact, and the more you butt in, the less I'm going to help myself. Would you repeat your question again, John? No, I'm sorry. In phrasing what I was going to say to you, I didn't hear what you were saying to me.
I didn't want you to be misled. Everyone on the panel could benefit from the service. But it does not necessarily mean that you would specifically and individually request it. Is that fair?
Yes.
I don't know how long the show has been on the air, John, and as many weeks as I've watched it, I said, John Daly has some sort of a gimmick other than being a wonderful host. I think I've figured out the gimmick tonight, John. You're a mixer-upper.
I don't mean to, Joey.
No. You say we could benefit from this particular service.
Mm-hmm.
Is it then a service that would be relegated to help?
No.
That's 1 down and 9 to go, Miss Francis.
Do you instruct or teach anything in this service that you give?
No.
That's 2 down and 8 to go, Mr. Cerf.
Miss Schreiner, when you're performing this service, do you come into physical contact with people?
No.
3 down and 7 to go, Miss Kilgallen.
Miss Schreiner, would it be possible, in view of what John has said, for us to receive your services or for other people to receive them without knowing that you were there doing whatever it is you do?
No.
Well, let me say this. I think here that the context of your question is, would you know particularly that Miss Schreiner was there and performing the service? And I would think the answer then would be yes. You would not, yes, you would not know that Miss Schreiner was there performing the service. No, yes.
I see.
You're a mixer-upper, John.
I'm mixed up myself now.
In other words, Miss Schreiner is more or less behind the scenes in something.
Yes.
Rather than being an actual performer that people watch. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Do people ever hear your voice on the telephone?
Yes.
Well, this is if you call Miss Schreiner. She's very nice about it.
She answers.
Yes, the telephone.
Do you by any chance work for a non-profit-making organization?
Yes.
Is it any branch of the government?
Yes.
Is it a branch of the state government?
No.
4 down and 6 to go, Mr. Bishop.
Well, I'll tell you, so far, the government, and this is speaking purely from income, has not given me any benefit. So I went down the other day, and I'm all paid up, thank the good Lord, till 1941.
You have hardly anything to worry about.
Is it a service that would perhaps be in a form of advice?
Yes.
Would that advice be in the way of law?
No.
No, not... Certainly, law would govern the character of the advice sometimes, but it would not have any specific application to law, either in its implementation or its breach. Miss Francis?
Now you got the audience mixed up.
Do you think breach was a clue? Something like breach of promise? No. Do you wear anything other than ordinary dress in your job?
No.
6 down and 4 to go, Mr. Cerf.
Miss Schreiner, is the government that you work for the federal government?
Yes.
Would the advice that you give out have anything whatever to do with either animals or farming?
No.
7 down and 3 to go, Miss Kilgallen.
Ordinary dress. You work in an office?
No.
8 down and 2 to go, Mr. Bishop.
Are you employed?
Yes.
I got a yes answer, John. I think you'll let me go with that one. Has this advice anything at all to do with money?
No.
9 down and 1 to go, Miss Francis.
Do you have anything to do with having people choose tours or trips around Washington or around the White House or around anything, Smithsonian? No.
No.
No, this is
domestic relations.
No, it's not domestic relations. It's a tough one. You're not even close to it, actually.
Well, then tell.
Miss Schreiner directs air traffic from a control tower at the Hutchinson Kansas Airport and is an employee of the Federal Aviation Administration.
That's very tough.
Let me say this, it is not unreasonable that you shouldn't have got on this track, because I believe there are only between 25 and 30 women in the whole country who are equipped to do this kind of work.
And you don't wear any kind of Air Force uniform, huh?
No, it's federal.
It's a civilian employee of the
Are you the
FAA.
one who routes planes in, tells them they can come in, or when they can clear and leave the
Yes.
field?
Mm.
Or to stack up?
Handles
Yes.
about 400 planes
That's
a day.
where I usually am.
Stacked up.
Yes, Joey?
I also route planes in, John.
You do?
When I'm flying on them, I say, "Attaboy, get that wing up, get it down." That's it. That's rooting him in, John.
Well, there's only one difference, you see. Miss Schreiner gets paid for it, and you do it for nothing.
I make a collection with the passengers later.
Well, Miss Schreiner, thank you very much, and congratulations on a most interesting job.
Thank
I
you.
hope you enjoy it. Nice to have you with us. And I might add, Miss Schreiner is a former United States Marine. Because that's where she learned the basic work of it. Well, we'll meet tonight's mystery guest in just a moment. But first, here is a word from our sponsor. And now the special feature of our program, the appearance of our mystery challenger, for which the panel is always blindfolded. Blindfolds in place, panel?
Yes,
Yeah.
John.
Good. Will you enter mystery challenger and sign in, please? All right, panel, as you know, in the case of the mystery challenger, a different form of questioning, one question at a time, in turn, moving clockwise, and let's begin with Dorothy Kilgallen.
Are you a performer in show business?
Yes.
Mr. Bishop?
Are you as well known as a movie actor?
Faintly.
Miss Francis?
I didn't hear the answer, John.
Actually, it was faintly, Joey, but a good flat yes would be the right one. Miss Francis?
Have you been in the theater?
Not often.
What?
Not long?
Not often.
Not often.
We'll give you a no on that, which sort of misleads you and give you some fun. 1 down and 9 to go, Mr. Cerf.
Would you be characterized more aptly as a comedian than a leading man?
No. 2 down and 8 to go, Miss Kilgallen.
Were you born in the United States?
Yes.
Mr. Bishop?
We have assumed that you are a leading man. Is that correct?
Yes.
Well, the question was, would you be identified more as a comedian than a leading man? And the answer to that was no.
Well, let me ask you this then. Have you done both comedy and leading man parts?
Yes. Miss Francis?
Is there more than one person there?
Yes.
Mr. Cerf?
Uh-huh.
Oh. Is the reason that there are more than one person there, is this a team? Do you usually appear as a team?
No. Well, I would say there, with your permission, I think Bennett was inquiring specifically if in basic identification you work together. And is this what you meant
Yes,
as a
it
team?
is indeed.
I think on that basis, with your permission, we'll say yes, sometimes.
Yes.
Miss Kilgallen?
Do you work on television also?
Yes.
In tandem?
Yes. Mr. Bishop?
This is the first time I've ever heard of a team that worked together sometimes.
They're not married.
From the sound of their voices, they better not be.
They're only engaged.
Do either of you, in addition to performing, write?
I didn't hear that. Do either of you, in addition to performing, write?
Right. For example, some performers write.
Yes. Miss Francis?
When you appear on television, do you appear in a television series?
Yes.
Mr. Cerf?
Is it a Western series?
No. 3 down and 7 to go, Miss Kilgallen.
Are you supposed to be related in this television series?
Are you supposed to be related in this television series?
No.
4 down and 6 to go, Mr. Bishop.
I'm taking a wild guess now. Should you be, either of you out front giving parking tickets?
No. 5 down and 5 to go, Miss Francis.
What do you mean by that?
Car 54, Joey Ross and the other fellow.
But, what is it? There's westerns and... Are you in a series about doctors?
Yes.
Well,
Mr. Cerf?
Maybe it's Casey and Kildare both
yes,
here together.
yes, could it be both Casey and Kildare?
Yes. No. No, I don't think...
Boy, and they're the ones who operate.
I hope they don't get hold of me.
No, it's not over, is it?
No.
Would you...
I don't know where we stand, John.
Bennett, would you repeat your
Where are
question,
I
please?
think
I
it's
said,
may we have a council...
Might one of you be Dr. Casey and the other one Dr. Kildare?
Thank you, Bennett, sir.
No.
No.
No, that makes it 6 down and 4 to go. Joey, you wanted a 30-second conference. You have it.
I think it is a medical series, but I think what we're being misled is it's the two men who are on the series.
Yes,
For example, Ben
either-
Casey has the guy who needs a haircut,
It's probably Casey.
and Kildare has Raymond Massey with him.
it sounded like Raymond Massey. English, you know, or Canadian or something.
Well, it's got to be one of them, Dorothy.
Two-
Take it.
Oh,
All
I'm
right,
sorry.
Dorothy Kilgallen is next.
I'll pick whatever the team wants, because I haven't a clue. I pass to Joey.
Joey?
Do we have Dr. Kildare
In the order.
behind the desk with you?
Yes.
Is Raymond Oh, I'm sorry. See how hoggish I get?
No,
when I hit?
actually, I
that's
think,
right.
Joey, that you have got it. We'll flip all the cards over for good fun. It's Dr. Kildare. Dr. Kildare and Dr. Gillespie. Dr. Kildare, Dr. Gillespie.
Right.
Yeah.
And Dr. Kildare is the name of I guess we might as well lay it on. It's one of the great successes of this season and comes from a greater tradition that goes back into the years when we were both young, Ray.
John, please say it's produced by MGM, or I'll be fired from the board.
On Thursday nights on NBC to get everything in order. And I must say, I got a big kick. Dick, I know that, I guess we can say this to Dick. He probably wasn't here when this was one of the most popular series made in pictures.
I was pretty small.
You were pretty
very small.
But I
Not that small.
Yeah. I get a big kick. Dick Chamberlain, as Dr. Kildare, comes out of a generation that didn't know it as well as we did. But I get a big kick seeing it revived, because it was a great tradition in my youth to go and see it. And I congratulate you both on well, it's well-deserved success. That's all that needs to be
Thank
said
you,
about
John.
that. Nice of you both to give us an
Thank
evening. Good to have you with us. And we'll be back after this word from our alternate spot. Again, Joey Bishop, it's been fine having you with us again, and hope we see you again very soon.
Thank you, John.
And good night, Miss Dorothy Kilgallen.
Good night, John. Good night, Joey.
Good night, Arlene.
Good night, Joey. Good night, dear Bennett.
John, do you remember when we were boys, Dr. Kildare, I think, was Lionel Barrymore, wasn't
Yeah, that's right.
Good night.
Yeah.
And today, he's Abraham Lincoln.
he? Yeah.
I know when to quit. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for being with us on What's My Line?
What's My Line is a CBS Television Network production in association with Mark Goodson and Bill Codman. This is Johnny Olson speaking. The preceding program was pre-recorded.